We're following breaking news out of downtown Charleston, where a large cloud of black smoke filled the air just about 30 minutes ago. We're told at 1 o'clock today, Dylan Roof will plead guilty to all charges brought by the state. According to an affidavit, Bob McCaffrey told law enforcement he had a fight with his wife the day before reporting her missing. The evidence of that firefight here, the plywood still covering the windows and shards of glass like this now covering the parking lot. This represents 1/10 of what the federal tax code is now. If I look down to my left toward the harbor, you can see that's all the way flooded. If I look down to my right, down East Bay, completely flooded. Well, there's a strange new story emerging in Florida after the shooting at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School. Officials say the alleged killer, Nicholas Cruz, is receiving tons of love letters. Right now, I am standing in the Tasty Kitchen. You probably recognize some of their videos from Facebook. Well, right now, they are unveiling a brand new competition series, and they're hosting it right here in Charleston in front of a live studio audience. We're following breaking news out of downtown Charleston, where a large cloud of black smoke filled the air just about 30 minutes ago after a boat went up in flames. It happened at the Harborage at Ashley Marina off Lockwood Drive in downtown Charleston. And News 2's Ashley Osborne was the first reporter there on scene. Ashley, emergency crews are still there on the water. Ashley, thank you. Well, many of you are headed out to the beach or the pool this Memorial Day, so let's go ahead and check in with Storm Team 2 meteorologist Christine Kohler, see what the rest of the day is going to look like. Good morning, Christine. All right, Christy, thank you. North Charleston police are investigating a shooting leaving 2 people in the hospital. It happened at Alston Arms Apartments in North Charleston. Police found a man who had been shot in the thigh and a woman grazed by a bullet in the arm. The victims told police someone knocked on their door, and when they opened, 3 men were dressed in black. 2 of those suspects had guns and demanded money. The male victim tried to close the door, but the suspects opened fire and ran away. Another shooting is also under investigation in North Charleston. Police say a witness told them he and a victim drove to the home on Ackaby Road Sunday afternoon. The victim then went into the backyard and several shots were reportedly fired. Police say that victim then walked back to the van and drove to South Allen Drive before being taken to the hospital. And new this morning, Mount Pleasant police reports show Brittany Simpson, the woman charged with killing her father, was behaving strangely before the shooting. According to reports obtained by the Post and Courier, Mount Pleasant police received more than 30 calls about Simpson in the past decade. They included fights between Simpson and her father and a drug arrest. Simpson faces a murder charge and possession of a gun. In national news, President Trump is preparing his first Memorial Day address at Arlington National Cemetery, while his son-in-law, Jared Kushner, is in the hot seat concerning the Russia investigation. Tracy Potts reports from Capitol Hill. 8 people dead, including a police officer in Mississippi, in what appears to be a family dispute. The suspect says it was not in his intentions to shoot the officer. NBC's Morgan Radford reports. Willie Godbold is being held on 1 count of capital murder and 7 counts of first-degree murder. Well, the 100 Deadly Days of Summer kicks off today in South Carolina. Law enforcement uses the term to mark the days between Memorial Day and Labor Day. During this time, the Highway Patrol, along with local law enforcement agencies, step up patrols. It's when the most deadly accidents occur. One police department is sharing tips about what you can expect to see during the next 100 days.
Coming up on News 2 Midday.
The teen targeted by hate speech before one man went on a stabbing spree, killing 2, is now speaking out. What she's saying about the men who came to her rescue. And keeping children entertained isn't always easy, so we're looking into free activities available this summer right here in the Lowcountry. It's coming up.
Be strong and be courageous. Be not frightened and do not be dismayed, for the Lord God is with you wherever you go.
In the study of his quiet Ridgeville home, Wayne Reeves read aloud letters written to him nearly a year ago. Letters that now sit in the filing cabinet beside his desk.
Some of the letters were very warm and very thoughtful, and I really appreciate those.
They came to him from all over the world,
Family are well and fine.
thanking him for the courage he showed during last year's historic flood. In a moment, seen live on our broadcast, when he waded out into murky waters to retrieve burial vaults that rose with the floods.
We're a community. We're Christians, and we just don't watch people sit on the hills and watch their moms and dads float down the river and nobody do anything.
It happened at New Canaan Church, just a few miles from his home.
We saw the water level rising in the graveyard. I told my wife, I said, I need to go home and get my waders and come back. She said, you're going to do something? I said, no way I can watch these caskets just float off and nobody's going to do anything.
A crowd gathered on the bank watching, including the family of the deceased.
The local agency was going to wait until the water goes down before they retrieve these caskets. Well, the water was still rising. So can you imagine sitting on the hillside on dry land watching your family float away? Who knows where they would be in another 2 or 3 days.
So in his street clothes, Wayne Reeves stepped in, retrieving one of the vaults, which floated nearly 200 yards from its resting place.
The family was satisfied that, you know, they knew where they were and they were safe, and that was all we needed to do. Bring a little peace to, you know, the family. And we had tragedy all around us, and we just didn't need to add to it.
I was curious what was going through your mind when you stepped into the water.
Just had a job to do.
We went with Reeves back to the very spot where it happened. The vaults, now buried in their rightful places. The dark waters of the Ashley and the Edisto have since receded, exposing once again the green grass, pavement, and tombstones that lay beneath. After returning home, he received nearly 200 calls. Then the emails came. People as far away as China and Thailand, thanking him for actions that he said should be the norm.
That's who we are as Americans. There's thousands and hundreds of thousands of people like me across the world just going to do the right thing.
They just have to be willing to step off the bank and into the water. In Ridgeville, Colby Thelen, News 2.
You can't walk by and not feel something.
It's definitely a little more somber, a little more quiet. It changes people, but it's important for us not to forget.
Below the covered windows, grief displayed in petals and stems, show of support, unity in the face of tragedy.
Thoughts and prayers for the family of the victim, because I know it must be a horrible thing.
While some stopped to pay respects, others only looked on, remembering the horror that occurred only a day ago.
It's like the first time I walked past it since, and I don't know, it's sad.
You come by here and you know that happened, and it's just kind of, it's different.
Heather Flynn and Jen Pirelli brought flowers from Mount Pleasant.
You know, I don't know that I have words yet. It's tough. What do you say? We're all sending our love and prayers and hoping that everybody's managing through their grief.
They say it's important for community to reach out and let others know they care.
Charleston is such a close city, and when something happens to one of us, it happens to all of us, so we pull together.
And nearly everyone we spoke to says that's exactly what this community has always done.
Charleston's a great kind of people. From after the Emmanuel shooting, we came back as a really strong team, so I know that we'll handle this well.
The whole country was amazed at how Charleston pulled together, so I just think that's just in the DNA of this city.